Welcome, everybody, to another episode of State of the Thunder. Yes, you're seeing it right. There's a strange person in my room. Suddenly it happened, but we
Whoa.
have a Mr. Jeff here with us.
Hello. I do exist.
It exists, yes,
I'm not just a voice in the background.
all the way from New Zealand. He decided to take a short trip here in North America because it's close, it's easy, it's fine.
And the company was paying for it.
Be sure to let us know if you're coming through Austin.
I'm not.
He just decided it's not. Mr. Jeff was here amongst other people to participate in a Conversation View work week. We're going to talk a little bit about what we did during this week, but we're going to have a much more comprehensive analysis and overview during the upcoming episode of Community Office Hours. So yeah, no spoilers so far, but we're gonna say a bunch of little things that we focus on. Before we start, we have a juicy episode with a lot of questions from the community, some updates from our recent progress on some Android initiatives and some desktop initiatives, and then some pro related requests also, which our audience will be extremely satisfied to hear. But before we do, I would like to offload a few things to Mr. Michael here and talking about the Austin Hackathon initiative.
Thanks, Alessandro. Yeah, essentially, we're really excited. For anyone that doesn't know, a hackathon is kind of an informal event where a group of people that are passionate about coming together, building and hacking on a project, writing code, and working towards a goal will come together. They form teams and they're given a challenge or a prompt. Typically, that challenge or prompt takes place over a set box period of time. Sometimes it's overnight, sometimes it's over a longer period. The teams compete. There are rules, work together. Different challenges have different prompts, rules, and themes, but we're really excited to be participating in one of those hackathons. It's called RiverHacks. It is hosted by several universities in the Central Texas and the Texas University system, including local community colleges and area high schools as well. So it's a way to get involved with the next generation of developers, coders, and contributors and help to share some of the things that we're excited about as they're coming into the space. So we're super excited. We'll be participating as a silver sponsor this year. The event is called RiverHacks. It's the NASA Space Apps 2025 Challenge. It is taking place October 4th and 5th at Austin Community College's downtown campus in Austin, Texas. So that's right next to the Capitol building, if for anyone that doesn't know. The event will be taking place overnight. It is open to the public, so regardless of if you want to register to get involved or just stop by and see what a hackathon is and kind of what it's all about. It's a lot of collaboration. It's a lot of fun staying up and coding and drinking coffee and swapping stories and throwing Nerf balls at each other. It's a lot of fun. But there's prizes up to $3,000. There's mentorship, there's judging, probably stickers and t-shirts. We'll find out. Meals are provided for those people that have registered for participation. For those people that are joining from the public, it is no meals provided. But if there are any questions, you can certainly reach out to us on the Matrix channel and we'd be happy to follow up. And we will provide a QR code that anyone can scan if they'd like to learn more information.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had
So we're
me at
looking forward
drinking
to it.
coffee, and I was very excited about that
Yeah.
part. Yeah. Developers, we turn coffee into code as usual. Oh, it's good.
Would it be weird to bring my own coffee machine?
Not at all, actually. We have coworkers that they do that.
No,
One of them is here, actually.
yeah, no, that would not be weird.
Tell
It
us how
would, there's
often
going to be at
does this
least a
come
couple
up?
of people there with their own coffee gear, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm particular, if I'm being honest.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's fine. We're all
Sorry, I had
unique
to
in our
jump in
own way.
there.
No, you
Is
have
this
to,
is
yes.
coffee related to SQLite? I just sorry. Oh, just kidding. Just kidding.
Is SQLite our official State of the Thunder inside joke that people need to listen to all the episodes to understand what we're talking about? Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm okay with that.
It's
That's
good to
fine.
have your own little, history.
I'm
Yeah,
glad you
that's
two are
good.
having fun.
Yeah. Thank you. No, this is a great initiative. I'm very excited to hear how it goes and what are the outcome, what
Absolutely.
is the outcome and all the beautiful things that those
You know,
developers will produce.
it is going to be very exciting, but essentially it's about sharing, learning, coming together, and building something awesome as it relates to a challenge. A lot of times it's about creativity and competition, coming together, sharing, and having those good times in the basement.
Hmm.
Sometimes a basement, sometimes an awesome downtown piece of architecture in this case. Uh, but sometimes in a basement too.
Yeah, that's fun.
It's an amazing event, and I think the takeaway is just let's come together, let's build, let's learn, and
Hmm.
have a little bit of fun doing it. We're going to have some cool data from NASA, so let's see how we can really explore and play around.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good, good. Slightly related to that, but not really. There's another initiative that is very interesting and we would like to announce. Mr. Wayne, do you want to talk a little bit about the Ask a Fox?
Thanks, Alessandro. Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. So a very new and fun, interesting thing we're going to have in association with the Firefox Mozilla people. There is an Ask a Fox event where you'll get some help and instruction on how to give help to other users in Sumo, which is short for Support Mozilla, where our Thunderbird for Android, Firefox, etc. products, people and users come to get help. There's a very nice video to get you introduced to the process, and there are prizes. There's a structure as to how to sign up. There's also a fun Easter egg hunt where you'll get to search for um, emojis, and there'll be prizes associated with that as well. It goes from Monday, September 22nd to the 28th, and we'll be on hand to give you assistance, and we'd love to have you participate.
Nice. That is lovely. Too bad I'm on vacation. Otherwise, I would have joined and also would have been. But yeah,
A
thank you.
conveniently timed vacation, I will point out.
Mm. Very convenient. Oh, accidentally, right here. Yeah. No, lovely initiative. It's very exciting, especially, yeah, like we're trying to support and grow our thriving community of supporter and contributors and participate more and try to lower the waiting times on responses and support requests in all those areas. So, yeah, good. I'm very, very excited about all of this. Thank you so much. All right. Let's jump into some juicy information here. So we're gonna quickly touch a little bit upon about the Android plans for the rest of the years. I was watching and while editing all the previous episode of State of the Thunder, it's primarily focused on desktop. Like a lot of requests we get about desktop, we talk about desktop. But there's also Android and iOS. Coincidentally, that we're doing a lot of good stuff and driving very strong initiatives. So just to give an overview, this is a very quick, short overview. We just released an update on the monthly digest, the Android monthly digest, or the mobile monthly digest for July and August. In September, we're gonna have a lot of more good stuff, but just to sync up on expectations before the end of the year, we are already entering Q4 of 2025, which sounds crazy and insane. It's almost the end of the year, but whatever. We have a couple of very good priorities that are very close to being completed. First is the new account drawer completion. Users that are on Thunderbird for Android beta, they're being very vocal about the incomplete status of the account drawer. We are 100% aware of that. Is not finished. Work still needs to be completed. We have some database issue in order to create real, proper, unified folders. But the objective is to have the account drawer much more powerful and on par with all the options that you had before this redesign. We're going to share some mockups with the final product before the end of the month. And then we're going to release some release notes as soon as it hits the next beta. Hopefully, in a couple of weeks, we're very close to completing that. Same thing goes for the message list status. We updated the colors, much better implementation, much better user contrast between red and unread status. But we're also implementing status notifications. We have that in desktop. We've been having that in desktop for many, many years. You have an indicator when a message is read, when a message is unread or new, because only relying on background colors is not enough. So we need to do it a lot better, and we're implementing that also on Android. And also focusing on some updates on the single message view. We're still, as of today, attachments are at the bottom of the message. A lot of users miss those attachments. Then the message, there's a limit to download the message size. It's something that, especially if you're an IMAP, is a little bit of a friction. There are multiple things. We're going to release a little bit more details on the initiative there. And then we're going to continue our never ending battle to fix native operating system notifications and do a proper IMAP fetch so we don't need to manually check IMAP for syncing once every 15 minutes or whatever the interval and threshold user set up. This is a little bit trickier because depending on the server implementation, some server admins they disable IMAP push notifications, so we need to do some trickery there. But we're trying to push before the end of the year to bring Android on par with all the other application out there, all the other mobile email application out there, and we're trying our best. So hopefully before December, we're gonna have some very good updates and some new features and implementation and fixes of existing feature.
Well, I have a question, and I'm actually going to hop onto camera. Oh my goodness. What about some of the other items on the roadmap, like HTML signatures and things like that? Do you have any updates on some of those things that we've kind of been wanting to do since the start of the year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't have any updates on those. We're gonna release an updated roadmap for next year. All the things that we weren't able to complete during this year roadmaps will naturally carry over
Mhm.
next year roadmap. A lot of the friction and the difficulties and the issues and the fact that we weren't able to accomplish what we wanted, they all kind of can be grouped into the technical debt justification. It sounds like an excuse. It feels like we're using the same thing for desktop and Android every time. It's like, oh, we couldn't implement that because technical debt.
There is no technical debt on the desktop. What are you talking about?
Not at all. Yeah, everything is fine. But unfortunately, it's a strong fact of friction whenever we set our mind to implement something. Android is also a 10, 15 years old K9 code base built and maintained by multiple people, has a lot of very old type of implementation and technical debt. We have the same problems on Android that we have on desktop with a database. We don't have a real true global database. So there are a lot of things that we cannot do. We try to keep a balance between massive implementation, very large efforts, and then small successes and small fixes. But in most occasions, a lot of the extra things like HTML signature or trying to implement full
Mhm.
encryptions or other things, they slip through the crack because there are only two people currently working on Android. So we try our best. We know we feel bad whenever we cannot hit the deadlines or the
Yeah.
original goal that we set it, but we're not forgetting. We're not just saying, we're not going to do it. Actually, we lied. We're not going to put it on the roadmap. All the things that we don't
Yeah.
finish, they carry over.
Exactly. And people know that we've got to prioritize, kind of like this key thing, something happened to it, and we got to fix
Mhm.
that first before
Yeah.
adding this really cool thing that we can't wait to have, but it can wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So,
There's
yeah.
also a strong driver on how we prioritize things, especially related to the last step for before the end of the year, is we know our ratings on the Play Store is not the best. A lot of users are giving us like low stars, like 1 or 2 stars sometimes for things that are in transition and kind of broken. So we are trying to tackle those most obvious paper cuts and annoyances that really
Mhm.
affect the users. And yes, having an HTML signature would be nice to have, but it's not something that prevents you from fully using your mobile application. So we're trying to tackle the most glaring and high friction issues that users are
Yeah.
reporting in all the forums and on the Play Store and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and as a person who, hi, I'm the friendly person who answers your review on the Play Store if you've ever been curious about that. I appreciate that greatly, and I'm sure that our users do too.
Yeah,
All right, thanks. That was my only question.
thank you. All right. I guess we can jump on the juicy part with a bunch of Mozilla Connect questions. So I collected a bunch of questions from Mozilla Connect and listed by the most upvoted things. I grouped them in three categories. We're going to tackle three main topics today. One is native operating system integration, because we have with us the engineers that is primarily driving this effort. Thank you. Then we're going to talk a little bit of conversation view, because there were some requests, especially old requests from a few years back, about like threading and sorting and all the things that are related somewhat to conversation view. So tackling and touching and talking a little bit of what we did in the last week, and some pro related requests, so Thunderbird Pro and what we're bringing to the table. The first one, we got a bunch of requests from Mozilla Connect. One is ability to dismiss a notification on click, and when you click on a notification, Thunderbird should open. The second one is use system notification for calendar reminders. And the third one is show progress bar in taskbar when sending an email. So, Jeff, you want to talk about a bunch of these things that you actually implemented and they actually work?
Yeah, a bunch of this stuff is stuff that's just been annoying me when I'm using Thunderbird, which I do on a regular basis. And yeah, it's things that we know that the OS is capable of doing, but we've just never plugged Thunderbird into it. So stuff like I've just implemented a progress bar. When you're sending an email message, you currently get a pop-up which has a progress bar on it, but also the icon on your dock, if you're using macOS, or on your taskbar if you're using Windows or Linux, it can show you the progress, so you don't need this pop-up anymore. We're keeping the pop-up if you like it. Not entirely sure why you do like it, but we're keeping that. But just tiny little polish things like that, I find make the user experience just that little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier in the year, of course, I was working on the new mail notification. That work continues. There's some things we can improve there. There's definitely some things there. I trust that people are finding the actions that we added to those notifications helpful. I certainly find them helpful. I get a lot of email coming in that just getting a notification about it is enough. I read the notification, I click the delete button, and the message goes away. It's so nice.
Yeah, at the top of the list of requests, there was the ability to delete an email directly from notification. I think that was kind of the second thing that you implemented after just using native notification. Then you started implementing custom actions, and one of the first one was deleting. So useful. It's incredible. I love it. Yes. One thing that we're gonna keep doing is, now that we have native notifications and they work and we can tap into them for all the operating systems, we're gonna transition some of our custom notifications into that. One of the, probably the next one, maybe we can experiment our calendar reminders, because calendar reminders, especially when you get a million reminders all together, they're fairly annoying, and we could offload them to native notifications. Do you want to talk a little bit about the limitations that we are facing, especially like with the progress bar or any other native OS integration, because of how Firefox implemented it and what they support?
Yeah, we're not totally limited by what Firefox has implemented, but we are borrowing stuff that they've done in the past. So the progress bar I've added to the compose window is actually the same code as when Firefox is downloading a file. And I've just kind of swiped that code and changed it to do what we want. So we're kind of limited to how they implemented that. There's not a lot you can do with a progress bar, so that's fine. Um, the OS notifications is we're really limited by what the OS can do, which isn't a lot, especially if you want to be able to provide the same experience across all of the operating systems. You're really limited to just kind of displaying the notification and having some actions. There's not much more you can do. And that is a problem when it comes to calendar reminders because there's other things that you're going to want to be able to do with a calendar reminder. You might want to snooze the notification for an unknown number of minutes. And you can currently do that with the existing very annoying calendar reminder. But you can't do it from a notification, so we have to find a way to kind of juggle those needs. And also, because we're getting this stuff from the Firefox code base, some of it is not being maintained to the level it might have been if they had someone working on that full time. I know, for example, the macOS code we are using is the old API. So that might even be the cause of some of the problems we're seeing with it. At some point, somebody is going to have to update that to the new API, and then hopefully it will be a bit better.
Yeah, maybe it's gonna be one of us.
Might
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, we have a couple of reports on macOS that when you click on the notification, yes, it dismisses it, but it doesn't bring Thunderbird on the foreground and doesn't properly select the message, or it just selects the message but doesn't bring Thunderbird on the foreground and all this stuff. And those are most related to old API. But yeah, there's a very common chance or a common explanation is the fact that Firefox, the way that they implement things, they don't really need the level of integration that an email client needs compared to a browser. So they only implement the things that they actually consume and they actually need. Probably, yeah, just download progress bar and that's it. Like they don't need to make it as powerful as we might need to have multiple processes at once or multiple sending or fetching, downloading, uploading all the things that we might want to extend the operating system notification capabilities and indicators that the operating system offers. So, yeah, it probably is going to happen in a not so near, in not so far future where we're going to do some contribution directly into Firefox, which is it's perfect because we make Firefox better by making us better, by making Thunderbird better, and everybody wins. It's the beauty of open source. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's more things we could do to make Thunderbird uh, better integrated with your operating system. Um, if you've got some ideas, it'd be great to hear them. Not exactly sure what a bunch of operating systems are capable of, but if there's a feature you know that your operating system supports that we could tie into and make things just a little bit tighter, that'd be great. Let us know.
Great call to action.
What
Yeah.
would be the best way to reach out to you for those people that wanted to provide comments?
I think the Connect stuff that we're reading through at the moment is probably the best
Absolutely,
way.
yeah. That's a great place.
Or if you're already on Bugzilla or our mailing lists, use that. We read them.
Wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to be a lot more diligent in looking consistently at Mozilla Connect. One of the initiatives that I would like to kick off is to actually answer to Connect when things land into code and users can actually start using it. Not a lot, a fair amount of requests in Connect could actually be closed. I don't even know. Can Mozilla Connect close requests? We can just say solved or stuff like that because a lot of those have been
We can.
implemented.
It can be marked by the poster as solved. The moderator or the answer replier, unless, as I recall in my head, and of course I should know all these, but we do have many platforms, and that's part of the
Yeah,
issue.
we do.
But in Connect, as the answer giver, I can provide the answer, and it's on the question asker to mark it as resolved. I believe as a moderator at the staff level, I have the ability to perhaps mark something as, yes, this is answered and it's adequate. That would not be the default for the average user. So I would perhaps call that out as a distinction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on, some conversation work week stuff. Related to Mozilla Connect, we got at the top of our list three things that are keep popping up when users ask if they can change something on Thunderbird. The first one is, of course, a true threaded conversations in Thunderbird. Threaded conversation is basically what you expect from any modern webmail email client, where You have a message, you reply, your reply is inside that conversation, and then you have the full thread. It doesn't matter if in the middle of the conversation you move a message to another folder, or you start it, or you put a label. The conversation and the full thread, it's not broken and it doesn't move a message in another section and you lose your train of thought or you lose your replies. Everything is tied together, pretty much what Gmail does. And it's something that is fairly expected. So we are definitely working on that. The second common request is add the option to sort conversation with the last post first. Which is, yeah, it's been, what is this, like 24 years old request. Currently in Thunderbird, if you use threaded views and you collapse your thread, the beginning of your thread, so the oldest message that you received is the parent and is the key of your thread, and all the others replies they go underneath. We use a trick in the UI to tell you, hey, there's an unread reply here, and we try to style the unread button in a different way. We put an indicator, but it's not optimal. A lot of users expect, especially how webmail works, they expect that the message that you see in the collapsed thread, it just replaces itself and you only see the most recent one, sort of like inverted chronological order. And the other request is the ability to thread sorting or sorting the threads for all the folders all at once. Right now, if you sort some threads in a specific folder, the other folder doesn't follow along. Every folder has its own customization and database and folder flags. This comes from historical reason, from a time where we only had a few folders, or you only had primarily local folders, and you needed to keep things separate. Some users still like to keep things separate, but fear not, because we're doing conversation view. Do you want to talk about conversation view a little bit? What is it, and what is this Panorama database that people have been talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, we have been for some time. We have been rebuilding the database backend for Thunderbird. We have what we currently have is what was written in the 90s. Is basically there is a database of sorts for every single folder that you have. They are all separate files on your file system, and it makes finding messages, finding anything in there a real pain in the butt. What we are doing is, and this is where Roland with the SQLite questions comes in, we are sticking all the messages, the index to them, in a single database. Thanks, Roland. Uh, so we will be able to do stuff that we've never been able to do before, at least in an easy way. We'll be able to grab a whole bunch of messages, no matter what folder they're in, and just display them in a single place. We'll be able to search stuff a lot easier and with more powerful interface.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That sounds like my information's going to live in the cloud.
Your information is not going to live in the cloud. We wouldn't do that to you, except unless your email server happens to be in the cloud, because it's already there then. Yeah, I think this is going to be a big change for Thunderbird, not only for what we are doing in the back end, but we've been working last week on a whole bunch of designs for what the front end is going to start to look like, what the user interface is going to look like. Yeah, I think it's going to be a major refresh.
Yeah, it's painful. It's not easy. It's taking a long time, especially restructuring, as yeah, Jeff said, like 20 plus years old architecture and expectations from the code. The code expects a specific formatting, a specific data point, a specific endpoint. Just implementing a new database is not as simple as let's add a new database and let the new stuff consume the new stuff. Like no, it's painfully rebuilding and following the logic and questioning if things the way that they were done before make sense to maintain or continue or transition. It's a long road there, but definitely next year after ESR because I don't think we will ever feel comfortable releasing any of this in an ESR cycle. But after next year, ESR will probably be at a place where we can start allowing user to flip a pref and start consuming the new database. This new database will, I don't know, accelerate. I suspect it will accelerate Thunderbird development because we can actually do things easily and modern and just do a single SQL query and get all the messages all together. And doesn't matter where they are and behave like user expect a modern email client to behave. And it's gonna be such a breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to be able to do stuff we haven't even considered doing before because it was just too complicated. Um, I've already thought of one feature I want to add that would have been a real pain to do under the existing database. It's a couple of lines of code with the new one,
Mhm.
and I've already kind of implemented it. But
Which is, don't keep us like that.
secrets. No,
Secrets.
I want to add. I'm not entirely sure how the interface works, but I want to add a date-based search to the quick filter. Um, if you want to look at your messages, you know that the message you are looking for was in the last month. You should be
Mm.
able to say, look for messages in the last month. And that's been something that has been possible before, but difficult.
Mhm.
So one, I do know that I'm excited to hear this news because this is something that pops up a lot in community discussions, whether it's conversation view or threads or whatever terms you're using, or even being able to collapse conversation, whatever you're calling it. It's something that's been asked for time and time again. And it's exciting to have some firm information, and it's great to hear. Would it, for any of the data geeks or enthusiasts out there listening right now? Are you able to share anything about some of your choices that you made along the way and maybe just an interesting decision that was made and why? About the database, perhaps specifically, and how you arrived at that decision.
It's a bit early for that. What we're doing at the moment is we are trying to re-implement at least most of the stuff the existing databases do, just so that we know that we've got it all. But we haven't finalized anything about how we want to do it. We've got some pretty good ideas, but we're not sure that what we have now is how it's going to end up being. Um, that might be disappointing for people out there, but it's a long way to go.
So that's fair. Not to over communicate until things are finalized, and there's valid reasons for that.
Alessandro was saying that we might not even start switching this on for people until after next year's ESR, which seems like a long time to wait. But as we've discovered last week while we were doing some of this design stuff, this stuff is really complicated.
Mm.
Um, I've just been concentrating on it as from the database point of view until this point, but we started looking at what this could actually look like for the user and the buttons that might be available for people to press and things we need to have on a context menu, stuff like that. It's super complicated. Um,
Yeah.
so we want to make sure that we're getting it pretty well right before we inflict it on users.
I just wanted to say that Heather and I, as hosts of Community Office Hours, will be chatting with some of you all next week, I think. And so that will probably come out because we will record that next week. It'll come out sometime in October. So if you're wanting a deeper kind of exploration of what might be coming in conversation view, we will be chatting about that.
That from my a very pro SQLite point of view, sorry. Michael wasn't around then, but episodes 1 or 3 to 4, I think I asked about SQLite. When Thunderbird is closed, Jeff's still changing the database, the SQLite database, but you'll be able to use the 10,000 tools. Sorry, my foaming at the mouth there. SQLite tools available on the internet to query your whatever format that Jeff and company come up with, and it will be very powerful in that way. But I totally agree that you will be able to write a Thunderbird add-on eventually that will take advantage of that too, not just the 10,000 SQLite. Okay, that's enough SQLite for today.
Yeah,
Bye.
that's good. That's exciting. Yeah, I will talk a little bit more specific and during this Friday we're gonna record the community office hours. I will share some of the technical aspects of the implementation, the SQLite, where the code lives, some work in progress patches that the most adventurous people can try if they want to. Please only do local folders. Please, please don't use your IMAP folder, please. But yeah, it is exciting. Is it, as Jeff said, extremely excruciatingly complicated, but is what we need to do, is what it's an evil that we need to defeat in order to move Thunderbird towards not even the future, just the present. Because having the old Mork database is just insane, and it just prevents us from doing anything. Yeah, like even like very simple things or creative things, and it's a huge limitation. So we have to do it. The scary thing is that touching the database means local folder copies and indexing of all the messages of a users might have. Users might have 100 messages or 100,000 messages in their folder. So before we release anything, we need to make sure that if something goes wrong, we can roll back and we don't lose any data and we don't cause any data corruption. And the current database was implemented, yeah, 20 years ago. So there are a lot of things that we're still figuring out and documenting and trying to understand why it was done that way, but we're getting there slowly and painfully, and we're trying to document everything and do everything in the open and share updates as much as possible so users can follow our journey. But super excited about this. Right, jumping on the last topic, there are a bunch of questions. Some of these are old, and talking Mozilla Connect, like 4 or 5 years old, that we didn't answer because we couldn't answer. We didn't have the ability to answer to these. But now we're collecting them because finally we can give some sort of date and features expectation from our users. The three questions that are kind of the top in Mozilla Connect and have been around for quite a while are: can we expand the ability of Firefox Relay to create full mods mail email? I love the suggestion of you doing mods mail. I think it's a nice shorthand. The other request is, can I pay for a Mozilla email domain? And the other one is Thunderbird Web. Like users were asking for a Thunderbird webmail experience, and users suggested in the title, I would pay a subscription fee for Thunderbird webmail. All of these are things that were, up until last year, were out of our control. We didn't have any say in how the different features or specs or expectation, or even like future roadmap of Relay or any potential mods mail, Mozilla email domain. None of that. We couldn't do anything. We're completely separate. But since the beginning of this year, now we have a proper plan to do Thunderbird Pro. And the first thing that we're doing, and we're trying to do, I mean, not the first thing, but in parallel, we're doing Thundermail, our email service, which is going to have all of the things that the user are asking. It's going to have a full email that is going to be thundermail.com or tb.pro or tbpro.com. I don't remember. People know better than me. It's not my field of expertise here, so I'm just relaying things. Probably in a couple of weeks, the next state of the Thunder is, I really want Philip, I would just want to force him to do it and focus on TB Pro and do a general discussion update on the status of TB Pro because things are moving fast. But the other thing also, we are experimenting with a webmail. So caveat here, don't get too excited. Our first objective is to offer an email server. So you can connect to Thunderbird, of course, consume our own desktop, any and Android and iOS client to connect via JMAP or IMAP. We're going to offer that as a default one. But we know that some users, they don't like native clients. They want everything in a webmail, is a lot lower friction barrier of entry. So we are experimenting with a webmail UI. There are no solid plans, nothing is no dates. But of course, we're working on it. Of course, we're experimenting with it because not doing it would be kind of silly. But it's not our top priority right now. We have other things. But all your prayers and wishes will be granted. No more Gmail. Hey, look at that. Freedom. Nice. Any questions? Anything about TB Pro? Granted that I know nothing about TB Pro because it's not it's not what I do. Anyway, we're at the end of our episode of State of the Thunder. So thank you everybody for joining. But primarily, thank you so much, Mr. Jeff, for joining on camera today. What a treat. Look at that. Are you planning to come back? Yeah, look at that. It's fine. It's gonna be fine. No one will generate AI images of your face like Michael just did. It's totally fine. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, everybody. Thank you for participating. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Ciao,
Bye.
cheers.